Okay. I'll start with a prayer that is custom here. I mean, we normally start all our meetings, all our lectures with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. At the outset, I want to thank Dr. Sunil for giving me this opportunity, which is somewhat very close to my heart. And I have been talking for and against also the term mythology. So I thought, let me start the lecture with the term as such. Of course, you're all people who have maybe done much work in mythology. You need not perhaps go through the definitions and all that. But I thought I will brush up my knowledge of the mythology, the definitions, and then come to the Indian perspective of it. Okay. So as we all know, it's from mythos or mythos. It's a Greek word which means a story. And Oxford Dictionary defines, gives the lakshana as traditional story usually involving supernatural or imaginary people. That is important, imaginary or supernatural people embodying popular ideas on natural and social phenomena. So it's somewhat like a fiction many times, the myths, mythology, it speaks about fiction. Sometimes it is fabrication around something, there is some grain of truth, but then so much covering layers after layers, so the truth is lost sight of almost. So it's fabrication, sometimes new things are invented. It's basically a falsehood, a pretense, and untruth. These are all the meanings given in the thesaurus. Okay, but Indian approach differs from this. That is a little bit different. Myths are stated to be like mithakatha or mithaka or purakatha. So the word is mithakatha or purakatha. So let us see what this mithaka means in Indian perspective. Being a Sanskrit teacher, naturally I would like to etymologize, the word. So from different roots, different words. So mithu is a Sanskrit word which is an avyaya, an indeclinable, and it means alike, alternatively, or make-believe thing. For example, in the Vedas, we come across mithu krita ratha, especially in the Soma sacrifices. We have this mithu krita ratha, a plow considered to be a chariot. Ratha is a chariot. Mithu krita, it looks like, or it is likened to, okay, it's compared to a chariot. Then myth is a verb, it's a root, to unite, to pair with. For example, we have the word mithuna, maithuna from the same root. So mitha is the root to unite. So there is union between two things. So what I want to stress here is there are two things which come together in a mithaka. For example, Acharya, Shankaracharya, in his Adhyasa Bhashya, philosophical, very highly philosophical text on Brahma Sutras, his commentary, in the very first Bhashya, the commentary literature, the Prastavika, the prologue, he says, Satyanrite Mithuni Kritya, combining the truth and the falsehood together. So there is some sort of combination of truth and falsehood which is possible, which is probable. Of course, that he speaks about the superimposition, the adhyasa, which is very philosophical, but the word is mithuni kritya, which is combining two things together. Then the same philosopher who says Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, so the word mithya, I would like to connect with this mithaka. It is appearance. It's not a falsehood. In Advaita Vedanta, it's never said that Jagat is unreal. It appears to be real. So there is a difference between the appearance of reality and unreality as such. So mithaka or mithya comes in between the two temporal states, the reality and the non-reality. So that is what mithya is. Then again, there is an indeclinable called mithaha, which is mutually or reciprocally, secretly or privately, like mithaha samvadamano, etc. They were talking together in secrecy, in private, like that. So these are all the different words which are, very much, they come very much near the mithaka, and the meaning which from the Indian perspective, which we are going to see today. Now, behind all this, there is an eternal truth, curiosity to ask and anxiety to tell. That is the Atma of narrative literature. That's the Atma of any Kathana, any Akhyayika as such. See, there is a seeker, there is a questioner who asks you something, and there is a tailor or a retailer or a storyteller who is all enthusiasm to tell the story in a hyperbolic manner, and adding few things from his end, some masala put to that and all that stuff. So that is the very Atma of any Mithaka. So then narrative literature involves in retelling of the truth. It's not a falsehood, it's a truth. So there are some Western definitions now. We'll see some Western definitions and what we are going to see today. So myth is a counterpart of ritual. These are the definitions which are picked and chosen from Fraser and O'Flaherty, Voltaire and Campbell and all these mythological writers. Myth is a counterpart of ritual. Myth is a statement in words, whereas ritual is a statement in action. That's a very popular quote by Fraser. Myth is a palimpsest. Palimpsest, Wendy Doniger said it. It's writing over writing. There are layers. What she means to say is, on a single grain of truth, you fabricate it, like a crochet weaving, There is one small circle you first do, and then you go on weaving round it to make a big cloth. So that is something like that. Myth is a palimpsest. Myths are absurd, says Voltaire. Myth is a past which percolates to the present. That is very, very true. Myth is a past which has percolated down to the present generations. Then myths give basic types, Carl Jung. Then myth is a mystifying experience. Myth and mystic, they go together sometimes. Its language is similar to that of dreams, says Freud. Dreams are Vaitathya, dreams are not real. So myths are also unreal. That is the story of it. Myth is a falsehood about truth. R.N. Dandekar, the Oriental scholar who was trained into the Western style, he says that myth is falsehood about truth. Now, all these, the topic which is given to me is like Indian mythology, from words to, from symbols to words or words to symbols. Yeah, words to symbols. So what 1,000 words can't tell, a tiny symbol can tell. And symbolism is thus very, very important feature in mythology. And I think a few examples of the narratives and the representation done through symbolic thing, that will highlight this point. Now, when I say it is Mithaka Katha or Pura Katha, the word which comes to us for mythology is Katha, Pura Katha or Mithakatha. So what is a Katha? Katha is basically a story. It is also called Goshti or Goshta in Marathi. We call it Goshta. Ajji Mala Goshta Sang, right? Like that. So Goshti, I recollect this was told to me by Dr. none other than our essay Dange sir, Sadashiv Ambadas Dange my sir. So Gostha, go is a cow, and stha is the place where the cows are tied. It's a cow pen or a stable. And this was normally, in a village and all, this was a place to sit after dinner at night time, and all the youngsters and the people would sit around an elderly person, whether a lady or a person, a gentleman, and he will narrate some things, and that would happen near the ghost, near the cow pen. Therefore, it is called as Goshti. Interestingly, now in Hindi, the Charcha Satra or the seminars are called Sangoshti, where people come together, Sammiti, Ekatrikarane, Ekikarane. So they come together and have a chit chat or deliberate or sometimes fight over certain things. These are seminars or Sangoshti. The popular word, however, is Katha. See, being a Sanskrit teacher and that too being a lover of Nirukta, the science of etymology, I try to go to the root of the word before I start any exposition. So Katha, Katha, again, thanks to Dange sir to bring out these nuances, these little things in very common words. We take these words for granted many times. We don't even think, there should be, there could be two words in that. And he was the first time, he told me while I was working under him for his Puranic encyclopedia for 2 years, I had the privilege to work under him under the project which is published in 5 volumes. You all must have been referring to that Puranic encyclopedia. So that time he was telling me, Katha is not just one word, and it's not just, derived from the root katha, that is to tell, to narrate, It has 2 syllables, ka and tha. Tha is something like, it's a archaic form of a past tense of asar, which is maintained still now in the Hindi language. Kaisa tha, like tha, okay? How was it? Was. And ka is kim, like a prashnarthaka. If you remember in Sanskrit, all the interrogative questions, they come from ka, like kaha, kim, katham, kada, kutra, So katha is how it happened. How did it take place? So somebody asking, and the narrator, let me tell you, okay, come on, let me tell you how it all took place. And then he would go on narrating the story that becomes a katha. And there are references like Hanta Udgithe Katham Vadama from Chandogya, Katha Dashe Mahavim, how shall we offer the oblation? Katha, how? How shall Dashema, from Da or Dash Sampradane, Havim, how shall we give the offering? So in that word also Katha is used. So if you understand these nuances of Katha, then you will, come to know why so many elements like, from the Vedic literature to Puranic to the folk, to the tribal, how these stories they just flow through generations, and when they come to the last portion, they are changed quite a lot from the original one. This is something like what I don't know in how you call it in English. Dange sir used to say this is something like Kangoshta in Marathi. When we were very young, we used to play a game, make a circle and tell something in the ear of the next person. He will tell to the next person like that. And when the same thing comes out of the last person, it's not the one which was told by the first person. So it's totally changed. So that's what happens for the Mithakatha or the Purakatha. Others like somewhat close to this are allegory and parable and legend and fable. Of course, they are different in nature. Allegory is a story with metaphors and normally with a moral. Parable is spiritual truth many times. Legend is a traditional balladic story, and fable is through the animals and the birds characters that we all know. Now let us come to the symbols, the words and the symbols. Now the picture which you are seeing here, this picture you can easily identify there is a big large fish and there is a boat, and in the boat some people are sitting. So this you might have guessed, this is the great deluge. This is the flood myth. This is the flood myth, and this comes in the Shatapatha Brahmana, in the Matsya Purana, in many other Puranas. It is basically the Manu Matsya Katha. And the Manu Matsya Katha is so famous that Manu is the king. Sometimes the names of the king, that may vary. The content remains the same. The characters may replace each other's, okay, but the content remains the same. one certain king who goes to pay his oblations, daily oblations to a river, and in his palm there comes a tiny fish. The fish pleads, "Oh, please don't kill me, and please save me. Don't put me in this water. The bigger fish will eat me." So he takes it home, puts it in a vessel. As it grows big, he goes on changing the vessels bigger, bigger, bigger. And when it outgrows all the vessels, he releases that fish into the ocean, and that fish comes and saves him at the time of deluge. That is the story, and that is what we have in the Manumatsya Katha, in the Shatapatha Brahmana, as well as in the Puranas. So flood or deluge is commonly found across all the civilizations, all the cultures. So is it just a myth? Is it just a story or a historical event? In fact, when in one of my lectures I did this Matsyavatara and all, Vishnu's link, I think Sunil has given that link. I'm not quite sure whether he has given that link, Ola class. I saw some 2-3 links of my Ola classes. One is the Vishnu's incarnation. If it is not given, you can find it on YouTube. So it's just a myth or a historical event. You know, there are like questions that it might have been a historical truth and people might have witnessed it. And then, the story has been percolated down the traditions, generations after generations, told, retold, and again told with different contexts. And it's not only restricted to Indian scenario, but to all cultures, it is commonly found. So it might have been a historical account recorded through oral traditions for centuries. And this is very important. Why? Because, we give now much importance to the oral tradition as well. Even in the history, it is not only the documented written history, it is the oral history as well, which has gained some importance these days of late now. So for centuries and millennium or years, the stories were told and retold, and they are found across all the cultures. So this is found in Bible also as Noah's Ark. The hero of the flood, which lasted for 150 days, says Bible, and Noah, he saved all the animals in the ark. If you just search on Google, I call him Google Swami, he gives all the answers, Sometimes they are not so good, not so very authentic, but yet we can get some answers to our questions. So the Google Swami will give you so many pictures. The animals are climbing the ark, the boat, and all that, and he saved all the animals. That is the story. Now, this destruction, why the deluge, first of all? The Semitic religions have a version of the deluge. They normally say that destruction of man was decreed because of his wickedness. That is according to the Jews. It was because of the corruption, says Bible, and it was because of too much of noise. That is the Sumerian culture. In all the cultures, in the Middle East, Sumerian and Akkadian, Mesopotamian, you have this flood myth. Indian mythology feels that creation and destruction are two sides of the same coin. And therefore, in the Puranas, where we have normally the descriptions of all these, we normally have Sargascha, Pratisargascha, Vausho, Manvantaranicha, Vaushanucharitam Chaiva, Puranam Panchalakshanam. So Purana, there are 5-fold Lakshanas, 5 essential, integral constituents of a Purana. There has to be a Sarga, there has to be a Pratisarga. Pratisarga is recreation. And for recreation, what is presupposed is dissolution. So creation and dissolution form the same coin, the two sides of the same coin. So the scenario, the perspective differs, and therefore the whole ideology differs. Something must die before something else is produced or created. For example, a germ seed has to be buried for the sprouts, for the grains. So that is the ideology behind this. And this same ideology is carried forward in the concept and in the institutionalization of sacrifice as such, yajna as a samstha. So maybe for yajna, you can have some other lecture some other time. So again, coming to the same thing, and there is a reference that the boat, it got halted in Turkey, and therefore there were many expeditions to locate that. And the picture, of course, thanks to Google Swami, this is a picture where on the Rocky Mountains there is an impression of a boat's shape, something you can see there on the in the picture there. So this, they say, they feel in 1968 it was claimed that the ark was found buried in the mountain in Turkey. Now, I look at it, this is a boat. In all the cultures, there has to be a boat to get man across something. Philosophically, a boat becomes a savior. It's a strong support which gives to the entire mankind. And especially in the Bhakti literature, we see that God is the boat. Rama Nama Nauka Bhavasagari Taraya, like that. So all the Rama Nama, or all the, the name of the God, the japa of the God, that is as good as a boat. But the boat should be flawless. The boat should not have any hole in it. Otherwise it will sink. And therefore, so philosophically and spiritually also, from the Adhyatmika point of view, also the boat symbol is very, very necessary to describe something from where, mankind or the human race has crossed great difficulty, great challenges it has faced and got through. So the boat is symbolic of all that. Now again, this is one more symbol here. If you can say something like there are multiple hands and multiple heads. Mythologically, you must be knowing that multiple hands symbolizes multitasking, and multiple heads symbolizes multi-thinking or thinking in various multi-dimensions. So this is something like that. So this is the Purusha maybe. So I would rather give it as the Samjna of Purusha, and this gives you the creation myth. One, how the man must have thought of this gigantic human being or gigantic form, a human form. This also is found across all the civilizations, all the cultures, that there was like a Panku or somebody or a Purusha of the Purusha Sukta of the Rigveda. And he is Sahasrakshaha, Sahasrapad, Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva, Atyatishtat Dashangulam. And he created everything. So there is this Purusha Sukta, then there is Hiranyagarbha Sukta. We'll see in short, these three suktas, because in creation myths, in the Rigveda, these three suktas are very, 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 very important. Just underline these three suktas. You can't do a creation myth or the creation narrative from the Vedic literature if you don't know these suktas. Suktas are the hymns. These are the prayers, you can say, which have multiple stanzas in them called rich or richas. So in short, Purusha Sukta. Now Purusha Sukta, though it is famous as, Rigveda 1090, it is found in all other four Vedas as well. In Yajur Veda also you find it in the 30th chapter, in Taittiriya Aranyaka, again of the Krishna Yajur Veda, in Sama Veda, the 6th chapter, and Atharva Veda, the 19th Kanda. So this is such a very important hymn that it is found in all the four Vedas. So most popular hymn chanted in all the rituals. In fact, to tell you something, how the Vedic tradition has been percolated down to the modern era, through the Puranic era and to the modern days. Because my thesis was also similar to this, Vedic elements in Puranic mantras and rituals. Whenever we do some puja at home, maybe it could be as simple a puja as a Satyanarayana puja, okay? There is Shodashopachara puja of the Bhagavan, of the God. And for that Shodashopachara puja, the 16 mantras of the Purusha Sukta are recited by any priest whom you invite to your home. Okay, just check it with the priest whether he is reciting the Purusha Sukta. All the 16, there are 16 ruchas. So this is mapping, the 16 ruchas of the Rigveda are mapped against every ritual aspect of the Shodashopachara Puja. So a gigantic being as the creator sacrificing himself, to gain something, to bring something new, you have to sacrifice something. Old has to go to give room for the new one. So this is as simple as that. This is the law of the nature. Okay, the same law is followed here as well. And this is the concept which is found all over. One creator, he is the sustainer and he is the destroyer of everything. This is the original form of the Rigvedic Sukta. Then it was glorified to a much extent with a bhakti involved in that, devotion, with the sentiment of devotion in it. And it was identified with Vishnu, who is glorified in the Bhagavata Purana, in the Vishnu Purana, and all the Vaishnava Puranas like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Nrasimha, Vamana, etc. Okay. And the same thing we find in Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata, 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Virata Purusha, the Vishwarupa Darshana, he is the same Purusha. So basically, there is no name given to this Purusha. It is just Purusha, a human form, gigantic human form. And then later on, it was deified and it was given the name of Vishnu and, Krishna. Now here we find an oval shape. It is something like an egg, okay? It is under, it is a Brahmanda. We can call it Brahmanda. Normally we have the Pinda Brahmandavada, and this is the Hiranyagarbha Sukta, which is found in the Veda, in the Taittiriya Aranyaka of the Yajurveda as well as the Atharva Veda. This is the concept of golden fetus or a golden egg. This is again a very common concept. Manusmriti also has it and it equates with Prajapati, that is Brahma, Prajanam Patihi, and he is the Chaturmukha Brahma, 4 heads, and there was a 5th head, there is another story for that. So he is the creator. Basically, human being must have noticed, when a bird lays egg, then the egg gets, broken. 2 parts are there, 2 halves are there, and something which was hidden inside comes to life all of a sudden. So maybe out of that observation, he symbolized that egg to be the seed of creation. This is a seed of creation. This is a fetus, the garbha of creation. Okay. And therefore, this is something similar to the Vishwakarma Sukta in the Rigveda again. And that speaks of one creator who is the deity. The refrain of this is Kasmai Devaya Havisha Vidhema. Kasmai Devaya, to which God, Havisha Vidhema, we shall offer the offerings and oblations. So this is the story, and that is the Hiranyagarbha Sukta, popularly known as the Prajapati Sukta. And the 2 halves of the egg, the upper hull became the upper firmament, which is like inward like this, and the lower half became the earth. So earth and heaven, Dyava Prithvi, these are the 2 basic halves of this under this seed. And whatever lies in between, the amniotic fluid, is something like all the water reservoirs on this earth. They could be the rivers and the oceans, and whatever, like the what you can say Mausapinda, some solid portion in the garbha there, in that amniotic fluid which is floating, that became the mountains. So this is how the story is given in the Puranas. So right from the Rigveda, you see just the under and it becomes a Brahmanda, and we are like a pinda. This is a macro cosmic relation. So we are all the creations from this Hiranyanda. And why Hiranyamaya? Because it's a golden, it's a shining thing. Something has to be very big. very, what you can say, gigantic, then it has to be very great also in nature. And therefore, it is not just an ordinary egg, but it's a golden egg. The third sukta in the list is the Nasadiya Sukta. It is called Nasadiya Sukta. It is the most mystic in nature in the Rigveda, because it is called Nasadiya because it starts with the word Nasadasi, No Sadasi, Tamasi, like that. So that is the beginning word. The mantra begins with the hymn begins with Nasadasi, No Sadasi, Tadanim, and therefore it is called Nasadiya Sukta. The language is very enigmatic, very cryptic, and at the end, there are again two things which are mentioned in this, and they are Retodhaha and Mahimanaha. I don't know whether I have kept it here. No, I didn't, because it will be too much of Sanskrit, I felt, so I removed that. So Retodhaha and Mahimanaha, these are the two words which are used in this. So these are the two, like what you can say, agents of creation. And in human embryology as such, there is a very fine book in Marathi though, by Vaijanath Kashinath Rajwade, on Nasadiya Sutta. It is named as Nasadiya Sutta, and I'm sorry, it gives you the entire embryology, right, from the conception, how the garbha, how the fetus gets evolved, grows week by week, month by month, and how a human nature, human form is obtained by that ulba, So entire embryology is given in that book. So if you can just find Dr. Sunil, you can just have that book, and maybe you can orient others on that. So two things coming together for a creation. And then again, it is not, human creation is not seen by anybody, right? Nobody sees the creation, how the human being is born. I mean, not born, how he is conceived. That is so very sacred, so very private a thing, and therefore it is not seen by anybody. And therefore, whatever the Vedic seer is stating here, he himself is very unsure about all that, skeptical about all that, but he's curious to know. And therefore he says, who knows really? Did it take place in this manner, as I'm telling you, or was there any other method of creation? This is what I feel. And therefore he gives his own perception, So who knows whence it was created? And then again, kuto jaya, kuto jayate, and he ko adha veda, who really knows about it? Nobody knows. So there are some questions, the answers to which are not given. So this is like a riddle. This is like a puzzle. The answers are not given. But then do we get answers to every puzzle? We don't, right? So there is charm in having such puzzles which are unsolved. So creation is one such unsolved puzzle. That is the conclusion of this. But whosoever created, he is the material cause, upadana karana, and he alone could be the nimitta karana, or the efficient cause, and that could be Brahman. And the same thing is carried out in the Upanishads later on. You must be aware that in the Vedic literature, in that literature, gamut of literature, the Samhitas or the mantras come in the first place, then come the Brahmanas, then the Aranyakas, and then the Upanishads. So by the Upanishads time, by the Upanishadic time, this concept got crystallized that there is one creator who sustains and destroys, and there is none else but him, ekameva advitiya Brahma. So that concept has been crystallized from this particular sutta. So that is an Asadiya Sutta. It's the source of philosophy as such, Vedic philosophy, which later on turned into the Upanishadic philosophy. Okay. Now, what is this? There are some triangles drawn here. Okay. Some inverted triangles, some like normal triangles which we draw. So there are some intertangled triangles also. Okay. Now, if you know what these triangles notify, this is something like a chakra. This is very famous as Shri Yantra, or Shri Chakra or Shri Yantra, or it is Mahameru. It's a Meru. When it is the same diagram, it's a line drawing to an aesthetically evolved line drawing with petals and all, like Ashtadala Kamala, Shodashadala Kamala, and all that. And the same thing, when it is given a third dimension, it looks like a pyramid. It is called a Mahameru. All these, these different types of small rangolis which were drawn, which are even now, maybe in the metro cities like Mumbai, you don't have space to draw such rangolis. But I remember having done it in front of my house, on a tile or something like that. When I was there, when I was young, I used to do this. If you notice, and this is very common practice in Tamil Nadu, in Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh, and all these, there is a circular motion in whatever you draw, and there is a central point to that. So this is a Shri Yantra line drawing to Mahameru, to all these columns, evolved from the mantra, then Tantra, because Shri Yantra is, Yantras evolved out of Tantra, the Agama literature. In the mantras, that is the Vedas are called Nigama, and Tantras, texts, are called Agama. There is Agama, Nigama. There is a difference between these two. From mantras, the sacrifices, the Yajna Samstha got evolved. And from Tantra, from Agama, from Nigama, sacrifice, from Agama, the Yantras, the line drawings, different line drawings. And if you draw it every day, they say that there is a Falashruti, there is Arthavada for everything. Whatever you do, there is a result for that, there is a reward for that. So from these are from mantra to tantra to yantra to mandala. There are very nowadays I see on Facebook also, especially in the lockdown period, people are engaged in so many creative activities as such, art activities, and they are drawing mandalas. It's not just passing their time. They get a divine energy, a spiritual energy by drawing it every day in a neat manner, in a flawless, seamless manner. So it symbolizes cosmos surrounding the central bindu. So there has to be a central bindu somewhere, everywhere there is a central bindu, like here there is a central bindu, here also, here also. Everywhere there is a central bindu, and that bindu is the Maha Tripura Sundari, as we call it. Shankaracharya himself, it is said that he established the Shri Yantra under the Sharadamba's idol in Sringeri. So it has a very mystic significance. His work, which is Saundarya Lahari, which is apparently the Nakhashikha Varnana of Mahatripura Sundari, is very, very tantric in nature and very difficult to understand. So this is the tantric thing, but then there is a bindu at at the pivotal point, at the central point. So it started from the Shri Sukta. There is, I think, an interesting article by Dr. Subhash Kak on Lalita. I read it some years ago. I don't remember exactly the name. You can search. Google Swami will answer your search. Subhash Kak and Lalita Sahasranama. In fact, in this Sahasrara Chakra, it will go to Sahasrara Chakra, and 1,000 names of Lalita are, encoded there. That is how the Devi Bhaktas, they believe. So it could be Tripura Sundari or Lalita Sahasranama, Lalita from the Puranic point of view. It could be Shri from the Vedic point of view. And when it has come down to our generation, the earlier generation perhaps, the later generation won't have it now. It has a cultural symbolism. When they draw Rangoli, it is not just an art form. They are worshipping Lakshmi. It is Bhudevi. So it's a form of worship of Bhudevi, and it is an obeisance to the goddess that she is kind enough to allow us to trade upon her. Every day morning when we get up, in traditional houses, of course, I decided my sons won't do it. But then Samudravasane Devi Parvatastana Mandale Vishnu Patni Namastubhyam Padasparsham Kshamasmame. When we get up from the sleep after night and when we put our foot on the earth, from the bed we get up, we ask for forgiveness to this Mahalakshmi, to this Bhudevi. And this Bhudevi is the wife of Vishnu in the Varaha avatar. If you remember the Varaha thing, then he is holding the entire globe of earth on his tusk. So she is his wife. So it's a Bhudevi worship. And then as in the Smriti period we come, it is a kind of Bhuta Yajna. When the sacrifice as a samstha got, got in what you can say oblivion, and not many sacrifices were being arranged and performed, every day. Still, the Smarta Yajnas, there are Pancha Mahayajnas, and they are prescribed by all our Smritis, whether it is Yajnavalkya or Manusmriti. And one of the Yajnas is Bhuta Yajna. Yajna, basically the concept is giving something, tyaga, like devatam adhikritya kritaha dravya tyagaha yagaha. So devata, dravya and tyaga, this is the trisutri of any yajna as such. This is Bhuta Yajna. Bhuta Yajna, the beings around us. When you put a rangoli, rangoli was not put by the material, the mineral powder as it is done now. It was usually done with a rice flour. So the ants will come and eat it. The birds will come and pick it up, So it was like an offering made to them. And secondly, thirdly perhaps, first is Bhudevi worship, second is the Bhuta Yajna, and the third is it is an evil repellent. So the evil forces won't enter your house. If on the threshold you put some marks like swastika and all, or in the courtyard you do this column. Even the Parsis, they have this practice of putting rangoli, and they claim that it is a evil repellent. So this is a great symbol, and I feel that all the columns, all the like poo column or this column, poo column is with the flowers you do it, or with basically the rice flour, and the kavi, the red geru in Marathi, and now you have that mineral powder, churna, and with that you put that thing. It is not only aesthetically beautifying, and giving some charm and good thing, good feeling to your house, but it is, inner satisfaction that I have done something good. And in olden days, when people used to go for bhiksha, if there was no rangoli in front of the house, the Batu will not ask bhiksha from that house, because he knows there is something inauspicious must have taken place, and therefore the lady hasn't put the rangoli or the column. So this was symbolic of auspiciousness. So many symbols are there. So one particular symbol, like a few dots of rangoli, and it speaks volumes, So this is a very nice thing. Similar thing in, it's almost 15 minutes more. Okay. And this is called a Chaitrangana Rangoli. In Maharashtra, especially in Chaitra and Vaishakha, this is the, what you can say, Vasanta Rutu. And Vasanta Rutu, the Varsharamba, the beginning of the year is Chaitra Masa, the first month of the year. And this is called Chaitrangana. And this is not just any Rangoli, there are so many symbols used here, If you can see, there is the sun and the moon, there will be the sun, there is the feather of the peacock, there is a flag, there is a conch, there is a gada, a mess, there is a parashu, there is a damaru, a mango, because you find it in this season. There is bell, this is a darpana, a mirror. Then this is what you can call khan ani naral in Marathi, Like this is a typical cloth folded triangular shape and coconut. Then this is a diya, tulsi, then gudhi, which is also, so those are the symbols. There is a snake also. Sometimes you have a mating pair of a snake. There is an elephant, fish, and kurma, tortoise, and so many. Garuda is there. So many symbols are there. And there is a story behind this. The Ksheerasagara Manthana, I will be going to that slide, I think, after this. There are some few more slides, I don't know. I think I will just brush up with this, okay, because we had enough of Rangoli. Now this is, can you identify? This is a Veer This is a hero stone, and this is a Sati stone. This is a Sati stone, and the earlier one was the Veer It is the Veera Shila. It is Veera Gal. Gal is from the Kannada word Kal. Kal is stone, rock. Kal. Kal becomes Gal, and therefore Veera Gal or Veer Gal, because in Marathi we have also, and therefore it is called Veera Gal. You know, in fact, in Sri Lanka, when I had been in 2016, I happened to visit Gal Vihar. You know, what is Gal Vihar? It's Kal Vihar. It's basically three great statues of Buddha, you know, sculpted in rocks. So it's a rock temple, Kal. So I just want, because I am a Kannada speaker, and therefore I take pride that this Kal becomes Gal, and this is, you know, like in Veergal and all, it is maintained. And this is a Sati Shila. There are normally 3 panels in this, you know, and they speak about some stories. The 3 panels, the lowermost panel like this is an action-packed drama. The Veera, the warrior, the brave warrior has gone out in the battlefield to fight. So he is in action here. In the second panel, he is enjoying all the pleasures in the heavenly world with all the beautiful celestial damsels, the nymphs and all. And the third is Shivalokam avapnoti shivena sahamodate. The uppermost panel is of bliss. And there is Chandra and Surya, the sun and the moon. They symbolize Yavat Chandra Divakaro. As long as there are sun and moon on this earth shining, the story of the hero will be told and retold from generation to generation. So normally there is the sun and the moon in every Shila. Whether it is a Sati Shila, there is also, here there is a sun and there is the moon here. And here is a Shivalingam and Nandi. And this is the hand, you know, it has bangles, etc. So this is the hand of a married lady. So this is Sati's Hat. In Marathi, you call it Sati Shila or Sati's Hat. And this is the Sati being taken into procession, you know, because she sacrifices herself after the death of her warrior husband, you know. So these also symbolize different ballads, different historical events and narrations. I think this was circulated, this is circulated to you, Indra and Vritra. So I thought I will incorporate that. So I hurriedly put some of those slides, you know, from that into this. If you have already gone through, it will be familiar. So God is the hero in ritual and hero is God in myth. That's a famous quote. Now, Indra is the most popular deity in the Rig Veda, and almost 1/4 of the Rig Veda is glorifying him. His main activity is killing Vritra and releasing the waters which Vritra has, you know, stored inside his belly. And additionally, whatever is heroic is ascribed to Indra. So that is how Indra Vritra fight is. And in Nirukta it is given, Atha asya karma rasanu pradhanam Vritravadhaha yachakacha balakritihi. Whatever is a thing of physical prowess, physical power, you know, martial power, all that is ascribed to Indra. So Indra is a martial, is a heroic person, you know, heroic deity of the Rigvedic polytheistic pantheon. Now, before Indra did this, in the Rigveda itself, we have some hymns which are ascribed to Trita Atya. And Trita Aptya, Indra killed the Vritra and released the waters which were held captive by Vritra. Vritra is nothing but a cloud. He has amassed all the water in his belly. And Indra just smashes him with the lightning, with his Vajra, and the cloud is torn apart and there is heavy shower. That is a natural phenomenon, okay? And that is metaphorically told as a fight between Indra and Vritra. But before Indra got this, in the Rigveda itself, in the 10th mandala, we have Trita Aptya fought the serpent-bodied, three-headed and six-eyed dragon and freed the cattle. Now, freeing something, fighting a dragon, freeing the cattle or freeing a maiden or freeing waters, something is held captive by the dragon. Some hero comes, fights with the dragon, kills him, releases whatever is held captive, and everything is good. That is the general pattern of this story. So Trita, the third, I think I should not go in details about it. One thing common in Trita Aptya and Vritra, Indra would be both are the lovers of Soma. Okay, so you may just refer to that sometime, or the link is given to you. You can just go through that. And again, this can be, compared to Tretona Arthvia. In the Iranian myths, the dragon is called Azi Dahaka. Azi is Ahi. Ahi is a snake, serpent, okay? And Dahaka is Dashaka, one who bites, a biting snake. So that is a Vritra, that's a dragon. The same story we find in Greek mythology in Apollo also. So in that Indra Vritra slides, I think you will find all those details. And he is also associated with Homer. What is very striking for me is killing the dragon, releasing something, and the hero is associated with Soma, some sort of divine drink, elixir. It is Soma or Haoma in the Persian. In the Persian folklore, it is Malik Muhammad, youngest of the three brothers. So many similarities are there. Kills a dragon, damming the stream. The dragon has dammed the stream. He is not letting the waters flow. And this Malik Muhammad releases the waters and wins a maiden. He marries a maiden there. Iranian tradition, Muhammad is known as Tretona or Faridun. So these are the various things. The same myth, but then there are so many variations. So from that, we can come to a stylization, a model, for example. You can deduce a model out of these narrations. Hero fighting a dragon and releasing treasure is a structural pattern. The treasure could be water, light, precious gems, or a maiden, or cows, or something which is in the enclosure of a dragon. In the folklore, it is precious gems or a maiden normally. This pattern is seen in almost all other mythologies also, older mythologies, and inevitable of stylization is improvisation, because otherwise the interest will not be kept alive. So to keep intact the interest, new things will have to be introduced, some improvisations have to be done, and that is where layer after layer comes upon that story part. Okay, this is a myth of immortality. I just referred to it in brief. So churning of the Milky Ocean, and this is a part of an eschatological myth. Life and death are common to all, but then a human being wants to conquer death, which is not possible, but he wants to conquer death and live as long as he can, and therefore he is in the quest of immortality. And if there is any drink which can make him immortal, he would find it at any cost. And therefore there is a churning of the ocean, and then they get the divine amrita or the elixir. Now for this we have that alchemist did this, to find a drink which can be chemically made and which can lengthen the lifespan of a person. Okay, now just coming to the close because only 2-3 minutes are there. So you will see wonder, why I'm showing you the snakes and ladders here. Of course, in the lockdown period, you might be playing this with your kids. If you are not, you do play. Please play with them and explain to them what it really means, okay? So this is called Mokshapata. This is called Mokshapata or Gyan Chaupar. Gyan Chaupar or Gnan Chaupar in Gujarati. It's more philosophical in nature. And this is the origin of Snakes and Ladders board game. Okay. The basic concept is, one needs some kind of ladder to escape the poisonous snakes and reach the peak. There are so many difficulties in between, there are so many large snakes, from here they will bring you down to the earth, down to the ground from the second level, uppermost second level to, so to escape these poisonous snakes, slithering snakes, you need some sort of a ladder which can help you to go up. And it may be, what could be the, if you can, I will share these PPTs with Sunil, and you can go through that. Uh, if you just concentrate on each square, there is something written in it. Especially when the ladders are there, there are very good things which are written. For example, this is the wisdom. This is the wisdom, and which will take you to the plane of bliss. Okay. Then here is the plane of Shiva, and what takes you there is the plane of devotion. So you do bhakti, and that will give you to Shivena Savamodate, Shiva Lokamavapnoti. And on the other hand, the snakes will bring you down to avarice and to bad feelings, the greed, anger, illusion, delusion, so many. Daivasura Sampat, you can refer to the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So what I want to convey is, it may be the ladder could be in the form of a physical power, as it was in the case of Indra. It could be an intellectual power, sometimes gods have to intellectually think. For example, in the Vishnu's avatar, Vishnu took the incarnation of Bali, incarnation of Vamana to vanquish Bali. So that was an intellectual power or some magical power. In all the folk tales, normally you have some magical power, a magical ring, a magical gem or a talisman, or some, like a flying carpet like thing, or something which will make you invisible when you want to be, and which will enable you to fight the devil, So some such ladder is necessary. Even during our mundane life, we do require some such ladders which will take us up. So we have to be careful to choose the ladder though. I think I have completed exactly on point. And if you want to ask any questions, Yathamati uttarani dasyami.
Thank you very